In April 2021, Government of India asked potential bidders to put in financial bids for Air India, selling 100% of the stakes owned by the government. 4 parties showed interest, out of which 2 reached the final rounds of bidding, the Tata Group and SpiceJet CEO Ajay Singh. The Tatas were clearly the favourites to win this race. So now the question is, despite having a huge debt of about 60,000 crore rupees and the airline showing consistent losses, what makes Air India a lucrative buy? In this video, we shall look at the journey of Air India, from its first flight to its nationalization, from its glorious days as the Maharaja of Skies to becoming a cash-strapped airline. On October 8th, the government announced that the Tata Group have won the bid to acquire Air India. After 68 years, the Tatas regained control over Air India. Let's quickly see some details of the deal. It includes a cash payment of Rs 2700 crore and taking over Rs 15,300 crores worth of debt. The deal was conducted by an independent third party, Ernst & Young. The strategic disinvestment of Air India includes 100% stake owned by the Government of India in Air India. It also includes 100% stake in Air India Express Limited and a 50% stake in Air India SATS, which is a 50-50 joint venture between Air India Limited and Singapore Airport Terminal Services. Air India Express provides low-cost flights to more than 30 destinations in India, Middle East and Southeast Asia, while Air India SATS provides ground handling services across airports in India. Owning Air India would also mean automatic control over 4,400 domestic and 1,600 international parking slots at domestic airports and over 900 slots in overseas airports. Clearly, Air India brings many other valuable assets to the table. But where did it all begin? Let's see the incredible journey of Air India. Air India was founded in 1932 as Tata Airlines by J.R.D. Tata. It took its first flight in 1932 when J.R.D. himself flew his single-engine aircraft from Karachi to Mumbai via Ahmedabad. In its initial years, it was based at a small airstrip at Juhu in Mumbai as Tata Air Services. Over the next few years, Tata Airlines expanded its areas of operation to cover other important cities of the time like Trivandrum, Chennai, Delhi and Lahore. It was known for its reliability and value for money service. Post the Second World War, the company went public and was renamed as Air India. In 1948, Air India International Limited was formed. The first international flight was from Mumbai to London via Cairo and Geneva. Jawaharlal Nehru, the then Prime Minister of India, was heavily influenced by the Fabian socialism. Due to his socialist outlook, he nationalized various private enterprises including Air India. In 1953, Air Corporations Act was passed and effectively Air India was nationalized. Thus, Air India became a public sector company under the government's control. J.R.D. Tata, however, continued to be its chairman until 1977. Post-nationalization, Air India was split into 2 different entities for ease of operations: Indian Airlines for domestic service and Air India for international service. Over the next few decades, Air India expanded its operations both within and outside the country. It also expanded its cargo operations. In 1962, Air India became the first airline in the world to own a fleet exclusively of jet aircrafts, setting a benchmark for innovation and quality service. Air India's history is synonymous with the history of civil aviation in India. In 1990, before the Gulf War broke out in the Middle East, Air India and Indian Air Force created a world record by evacuating 111,000 people from Jordan to Mumbai in just 59 days. In late January and early February 2020, Air India flew to Wuhan to rescue and bring back its countrymen from the center of the pandemic. In May of 2020, Air India embarked on the Vande Bharat mission to bring back 14,000 stranded Indians from 12 countries. But Air India is facing consistent losses year after year, as much as rupees 15 crore per day. So what happened to the glory of this Maharaja of Skies? It all started with the liberalization reforms of 1991. Many private players entered the civil aviation sector. Air India's dominance came under a severe threat. The government-run Air India found it difficult to keep up with the fierce competition from other privately run airlines. Over the next 3 decades, Air India faced a battle of ideologies, with the Congress and the BJP having different outlooks when it comes to economic policies. When it comes to economics, the Congress has a social liberal approach, but the BJP, on the other hand, has a neoliberal outlook which focuses on a minimum government and growth led by a deregulated private sector. The Atal Bihari Vajpayee-led NDA came to power in 1999. A committee appointed under Naresh Chandra recommended privatizing both Air India and Indian Airlines. In 2001, an attempt was made at reprivatizing Air India. The Manmohan Singh government, which came in power in 2004, ignored the Naresh Chandra committee report. It instead sought to revive Air India. In 2007, in order to reduce losses, Air India and Indian Airlines were merged into a single entity called Air India Limited. The then Aviation Minister Praful Patel pushed for modernization of Air India instead of privatizing it. The government bought 111 aircrafts for 70,000 crore. The idea was to buy new aircrafts through debt and then service the debt by generating revenue. The idea received massive criticism. The Comptroller and Auditor General of India called it a recipe for disaster, and that 2 losses don't make a profit but a bigger loss. Also in question were Air India's irregular leasing of its aircrafts without adhering to market pricing strategies and other factors. The CAG report stated that between 2011 to 2014, losses due to leasing stood at 405 crore rupees. Then came the Modi government in 2014. Carrying the same BJP ideology of neoliberal economics, Modi government declared its intentions of divesting the public sector companies. The mantra for Modi government was to privatize as many PSUs as possible, as according to them, government has no business in business. Air India's story was no different. It was facing consistent losses. It had shown no profit since 2007. Privatizing Air India was difficult, as no private player wanted to acquire a loss-making entity like Air India. So the Modi government injected some capital into Air India. The plan was to first make it operationally viable and then privatize. In 2018, government made its first attempt to divest Air India. 76% of the stakes were put on offer, but government wanted to retain 24% ownership. No private player showed interest, as 24% with government would mean the boardroom meetings would have government appointed directors, potentially affecting the operational freedom. So in 2021, the government once again made an attempt to privatize Air India. This time, government wanted to sell 100% of its stakes in Air India. For the government, selling Air India underlines its commitment towards privatization. But for the Tatas, apart from the emotion of getting back what was theirs, it is a huge business bet. COVID-19 pandemic has already brought a turbulence to the aviation sector. As the aviation sector is slowly picking up pace, Air India will have to face challenges ranging from employees' unions to finding the right CEO to finding office spaces for its 12,000 employees, modernizing its fleet, bringing together Air India, AirAsia and Vistara. After all these internal challenges are resolved, the Tatas have a major hurdle ahead, competing with Indigo Airlines. Having 60% share of passenger traffic, Indigo is known to be a tough and ruthless competitor. So will the Tatas deliver, after gaining a poetic justice by reowning the airline after 68 years.